Okay, well, I know that I've showed some of these to you guys already, but I'm gonna go through all of them. So this is me right here. I didn't like my dorky looking teeth and my hair, I just didn't like the way I looked in that picture. And this is a radio cassette recorder in Cynthia. And then this is Hector and Arnold at that same house. And this is our dog right here. We used to have, his name was Kaiser. We named him Kaiser. This was me. This was when I was 9 years old. And this was like back in 1983. We went to like SeaWorld or just one of those places, like miniature golf. This is Cynthia and Christmas. This was like 1982 or something like that. And this is my mom. This was in the house over across the street of the 1634 1 Edna Place Street house in Covina. And this was like my uncle's house. My dad. And then this was like in the early 80s. My mom and Cynthia. Or it might have been middle 80s, I'm not sure. Actually, it was the early 80s. It was mid 80s or late 80s. It was either late 80s or mid 80s, like my video. Well, actually, it might have been mid 80s. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, Cynthia at my uncle's house. It was a baby shower, if I remember. Like we had like a little McDonald's birthday party with Cynthia. I think it was probably 1985. A picture of us like at the park. Jose, Grandma, my mom, and Elisa, her name, and Adrian Cheeto, I believe. Adrian, and Sophia, I believe. We used to do a lot of park visits, Yeah, that's me right there. Another picture of the I think it was a baby shower. I'm not sure who it was for, but I can't remember anyway. My mom and Cynthia and Jose. This was probably like 1982. Arnold, I guess this was Arnold at his baseball games. When he used to do that, and Hector did a little bit of that too. Although I don't have a lot of pictures of Hector, but this was like I think in the early 80s, 1982 or some, 81 I think. That was in Mexico. Another picture of Arnold in the Little League games. Cynthia and the doll. Another one, that was Arnold right here. So this is a 1982, Christmas 1982, if I can remember. Or it was one of those 82, 80, no, that was in 1982. That was us, me, Arnold, and Hector, and my mom, and Cynthia, and Jose right here. Another picture of Arnold's Little League game. Another picture of us. Well, my mom, and this was probably like early 80s. Now this is me at the school. This is, as you can see it, 1982, November. A black and white picture of me. This was like at Sutherland Elementary School in Glendora. I used to go to that school. I remember the tires, the toys they used to call them. Back in the day, we were not allowed to play on the tires because they say that we're too old to play on the tires. That's what they told us before. But and then eventually they let us play on the tires. I remember that. Remember this thing, that was pretty cool though. No, I don't remember exactly what year this. I think this was probably, I think this was late 70s maybe. This is 1983, Christmas. Me and Hector and Arnold. So taking pictures of Hector playing baseball. You know, I was like, if I would have had a video camera, I would have been making a bunch of shows. But I mean, my mom and Cynthia, that was probably like middle 80s. This is Arnold and Cynthia, I think the early 80s, I think that was. Christmas, that was my dad. And Adrian, my grandma, Elisa, and I think that was probably Carlota, but I'm not sure. Raymond, this is like probably 1979. Then Raymond, that was Raymond and my grandma. So this is a picture from Disneyland. This was Raymond. Look at the kind of outfits that we used to wear in those days. And those was Arnold and Raymond and Hector. Cynthia, middle 80s. And this is another picture of Cynthia and the TV we had back then. Okay, this is like 1979 or something. Raymond. We had just come home from a park, you know. This was me. 1979, I believe, or 1980. I think it was 1979. And I put this over here. Actually, I'm the one who took this picture, obviously. So this was us in probably 1980 because Cynthia was born here. This was 1980. I was 10 years old at the time. This was Arnold and Hector. I think that was Raymond. Okay, we were doing a project here. I mean, my dad, you know, we did a project in the backyard of that 1634 1 Edna Place Street, and then we were doing a room addition there. So that's what we were doing there. Okay, this is a beach picture. I think this was 1979. Me on the red shorts, Hector, and then Raymond. This was definitely like 1979. I remember that particular day. This was, I know, in the early 80s maybe. You could see the year right there, 1982. That's my mom. I remember these little measuring cup things. I remember that. Me. 1983 or 84 or 85, one of those. It was mid-80s for sure. Me at a park. I was hot that day. I was sweating up a storm at the time because I was just playing games or something. Cynthia, and I guess Cynthia got in trouble for writing on the wall there in the house. Telling you. So I think I already gone through this. Well, this is me with Cynthia. This was like 1983. This was like early 80s, 1981. I think that's my uncle Alfredo is his name, and Maria is my aunt in Mexico. They're still around. Okay, there's more projects that we did in the house. Building the room addition, and you saw the videos of how this backyard looked, because this was like for the cement work. There's me and the tape recorder, Hector and his little medal, Hector and the sweater that was kind of like popular back then, or the jacket or something. That Hector's medal. I think he was doing track and field. I don't know exactly. Shout put or something. More pics of us in the early 80s. Well, this is the event that Hector was at, you know. I think it was shout put or something, where you throw a discus or something. Me and my Hector and Arnold. Alfredo, my uncle over in Guadalajara. Me and Cynthia's little party. Arnold playing with my stereo system. Cynthia right here, and this was 1980. Me, us in 1980. And this is this was probably mid 80s. Cynthia opening up a present. Samuel is his name. That's my cousin. Me, I put up a swing on that tree that we had. Alfredo and me. This was 1984, if I remember. Us and Christmas in 1982. Me right here. Arnold, my mom and Hector and Cynthia and Jose. Me, this was my 14th or 15th birthday. This was 1985. And this is my Aunt Maria, my mom, and my grandma. This was like early 80s, I believe. And this was like 1984 or 85. I think this was 1984. I'm not sure what occasion this was. Another picture of us. Arnold. Christmas time. Cynthia. This was like, I think, early 80s. Okay, this is me, Jose, and Cynthia at Disneyland. This was Disneyland. I remember that day. Yeah, I tell ya. Hector. Like the way he was doing his hair. Remember the Puma stuff? The Puma outfits. Me and Cynthia. That's me, like at my school at the Las Palmas Junior High. Remember those days, you know. I was 14 years old then. Me and Arnold. This was 1980. My Aunt Elisa and Carlota, I believe. Arnold. In Mexico. This was in Guadalajara. My dad and Cynthia. This was 1982, I believe. Me and Arnold. 1981, I think, or 80 or 81. I think Jimmy Carter was a president at the time. Okay, this is my aunts and uncles. This was the early 80s, I believe. Hector, Cynthia, Arnold and Cynthia. And this was my mom. I think this was 1986. We actually have a video of this from Alfredo's camera. It's actually up on YouTube right now. They have the video of all this, but I mean, as far as I know, yes, it's up on YouTube. This was me, and then this was like in the early 80s at Disneyland. And this was my grandma and George, and I'm not exactly sure who that person is exactly. Another family, like uncles and aunts picture. My dad. Well, this is like early, this was like 1982 or some. My dad and Cynthia and Jose. This was 1983. That was us, me, and Raymond, and Jose, and I think Arnold, I guess. Cynthia. And that's the whole family. That's us. I think this was like 1983 or 84. I think this was 1984. Us in 1984. Arnold, me, Cynthia, my mom, my dad, and Hector. I think that was 1984. Me. Another aunts and uncles picture. My mom. This is like an early 80s picture. Hector throwing a ball. Another early 80s picture of my aunt and my uncle. Arnold hitting the ball after Hector threw the ball. My dad and my uncle. Sandy Claus. And Cynthia, I guess. Christmas of 82. This was like a birthday party. I think this was 1984. I remember that particular day. And me and Jose. I'm not sure where that's Cynthia, obviously. It's in her school, probably. Play, I guess. Arnold. This was like 1970, like in the late 70s. Us. 1983, I believe. Or 84. I think that was 1984. Disneyland picture. Another Disneyland. This was early 80s or late 70s. Arnold and the clarinet. Okay, this was 1982, or yeah, because I remember that game. And this was us in Disneyland. Me right there. This was my mom and Cynthia. This was in the Townsend Street house, late 70, or no, that was 1980 because Cynthia was born then. Cynthia, and I guess this was probably Disneyland, I guess, or maybe. This was when we were doing our handprint on the cement, when we were doing the room addition and that at the 3102 South Townsend Street. Cynthia, my mom and my dad. This was like, I believe, 1981. Here's another picture of us in Disneyland, me and Raymond and Arnold and Hector. Now remember, like, we were gonna ride on that Space Mountain, and I think Raymond opened the gate so I can get in early, like so I can get in, and some people like behind me got mad at me because I was cutting lines. But it was between me and my family, though. I mean, yeah. Well, anyway. Cynthia. More aunts and uncles pictures. Hector and me. Well, that was at the airport, or near the airport, because Hector was going to Guadalajara back then, 1981. This is a 1983 picture of us. More pictures of, that's my mom, and I remember the bell bottoms. Yeah. My dad and my mom and grandma. Cynthia. I think this was obviously a baseball game. And more of my dad. It was the early 80s or something. My dad did this was like the room addition in the 3102 South Townsend Street. More Disneyland pictures. Remember these people movers? That's what they call that, right? More Disneyland pictures. And me at the miniature golf. A park picture. Us. Yeah, this was like 1981, I believe. This was 1981. Yeah, the Christmas. Yeah, I remember when I had a problem with licking on my lips, and I used to wipe my lips on the shirt, and then my dad, used to get mad at me, and he really got mad at me when I used to do that, back in my day. And Arnold got a typewriter for Christmas there. Yeah. This was Christmas when we opened the presents. Cynthia again. I think I have some duplicates in here. Cynthia opening presents. Cynthia. This was at the miniature golf. Arnold and his little league thing. Okay, there's a picture of us. So, the Christmas. I remember this toy that I got, Lego, and I had a Nerf ball. Then I had a Light Bright. I loved this Christmas that year, I believe that was 1979 or 1980. It was one of the two. And that was us. Me on my birthday. Okay, so this picture right here is like a middle 80s picture. This was Noe, and this is Robert, and Rudy was his name. I'm not sure of this guy, and this was Hector. I'm not sure who the other person is. Okay, this is my aunt and uncle, my mom, Raymond and me. That was my 11th birthday. My dad and Arnold. Okay, so this was 1983. That was my cousin Patty and Dina and Cynthia right there, and Marcella was my cousin and is my cousin in Mexico. And I'm not exactly who the person is. I know he's my uncle, but I just haven't seen him enough to really remember the names. My mom. There's an older picture, I'm not sure. That's Cynthia, and Arnold. I'm not sure who these are, who these guys or girls are. Marcella and Cynthia at the miniature golf. Okay, this was us. With the Connect 4. Cynthia. And then there's Hector, like while we were doing the room addition in the Townsend Street house. Not the house in Covina, but the one in Santa Ana. Heck, now Arnold getting the trophy there. My aunts and uncles pictures in the late 70s it is. And my grandma and my mom and Elisa and Carlota. This is an older picture. Yeah, my dad and my mom. So, Raymond and I'm not sure who this girl was. Cynthia. Yeah, well, we had just came back from like a park, I think, which we did a lot of back in those days. Yeah, I remember this. Sure, I remember that. Sure, I remember that. Yeah, it was me at Sutherland School. So another park picture. Well, not a park picture. It was like after he came home from a park or something. Well, we used to have our little gatherings. We did this a lot back in the day. Well, that was my birthday in Mexico. I was 11 years old. Arnold. Cynthia. Us. More of family gatherings. Raymond and Hector and Marcella. So this was Hector's graduation, leaving Las Palmas school. Like he was like sort of graduating out of Las Palmas. That's a Disneyland picture. That's an old, like 1980, I think. Me graduating out of Sutherland School, I guess. Us playing Connect 4. Us. That was my aunts and uncles in Guadalajara. Another picture of us printing our hands. Me. Christmas picture. Bert, Rosie, my dad and my mom and Cynthia. Me again. Me at the beach. This person's name is Mauricio, and then Samuel, and then Cynthia, Arnold, Arnold at the Little League. Arnold and my grandma. Hector's graduation. Me and my tape recorder, which I still have those cassettes. My mom. And Arnold at 10 o'clock because that's when we opened our presents. Hector. Been playing Pac-Man. Like us. For Christmas. I guess that was the last picture. Yeah. So that was all of them. For now. This is for now. That was 200 pictures I just showed you guys. Yeah. So very good. So I hope you liked that video. So yeah. Alright. Okay.